It's AV SuperFriends First Friday Live, a short, often impromptu show streamed live to the socials and usually on the correct day, the first Friday of the month. We've collected 2 or 3 topics, news stories, product announcements, social media posts, or email listserv messages, and we'll give you our honest opinions in about 15 minutes or less, or your money back. Offer not valid in some states. The show starts now. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties getting that started because I managed to close the wrong window right before we started the stream. That was fun.
That's awesome.
I said like reestablishing a bunch of connections in the background.
I didn't notice it.
Oh, I saw it.
You were mumbling and swearing to yourself.
I was waiting with the other 25 people that were like, what is going on here? Anyway.
Yeah, so closing out things and things went wrong. So anyway, this first Friday, we're going to cover some oddball news stories, social media posts, and stuff. There is no set agenda.
Stuff. Welcome to March. Stuff. Welcome to the new stuff. Stuff we found.
Do we want a timer for this?
We should, to keep us honest.
To keep us legit.
Has it ever
or we're going to have to give people their money back.
Offer not valid in some states. I'm not really sure which states those are. What actually is a state anymore?
What?
I mean, let's be honest.
Let me share this then.
Was that just?
What money are you referring to?
Whatever.
Whatever you have in your pocket.
All right.
Here we go.
Not that way. That's the wrong way. How do we make that?
That's
well,
a big clock.
that's a timer.
It is.
All
right.
right.
Pay attention to the time. There, get ready.
Whoa.
There,
Happening. This way.
there we go.
There we go.
Just go like that.
Anyway,
That's the most important part of what we're doing here.
we found some stuff online. We found some many things online over the last month or so since we last spoke.
Yeah, which one do we want to start with? I'll let you guys
No, pick one. Just surprise us, Chris. Dealer's choice. You're driving.
Well,
You're at the helm here.
If I'm going to pick, well, wait, oops, I got to start this. Look how discombobulated we are here.
Jeez.
If I'm going to pick stuff, I'm going to pick this topic, which is the Mac OS audio issues, because it's university related, and we love this conversation that comes up like clockwork about once every 6 months.
It seems to.
So dumb. So dumb.
By the way, let's preface this by saying, yes, we're aware there are idiosyncrasies to Mac OS, and both its audio and video outputs. They
Especially
can be overcome.
on a managed machine.
They can be overcome, but you have to be clever about it. Anyway, so this comes from the commercial AV subreddit, and it's a very long and detailed post, so kudos for that.
It is.
But it starts with, I work for a large university. We've discovered recent issues with MacBooks playing audio when connected to our AV systems. Macs are notorious for their HDCP implementation causing issues when connected to HDMI outputs. Never heard of that. Used to be we could get by forcing HDCP off. Wrong answer. But that no longer seems to be the case. Was never the answer. We've observed this issue using both newer Crestron systems and a mixture of older Extron systems. We've tried both the outputs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We were on the phone with Crestron this morning, also wrong answer, and they seem just as dumbstruck as to us as to why this is happening. No, they know exactly what's happening. So, I assume they waited on hold for 3 hours first, but at which point they were asked if they updated the firmware.
Then they said, have you tried our Air Media product?
Well, and so that comes up in the discussion. People are saying we're using wireless to do this. We're using these other systems. And a couple people point out the answer to this. It's a handshake problem.
Yeah.
And some of the Macs do not, some of the models, especially the newer, what are they called? The M series with their own internal chips. They don't always like to output appropriate audio and video unless that audio and video is there on system start or system login because there's an
wants
audio,
a clean handshake.
Yeah, there's an audio process that runs, and if anything else at the time is using that process when you plug in, it may be a background operation, it may be a Teams Zoom call you were on before, the professor was just playing, YouTube's in their office, whatever. If that handshake, to Mark's point, is not clean, it doesn't enable that bit stream. And now your room is broken.
And what do we call that handshake, fellow students? What is that called? What's the terminology we're talking about?
Which one do you want to use? I'm sure you have some Western Kentucky version of this.
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I was hoping for some
under the EDID umbrella, right?
Yeah.
It's simple EDID table type stuff.
Justin, you set those to default or auto?
I will say, Chris, that we did get hit with this once. When
I got hit with it like twice last week. It happens.
Not if you manage your EDID tables correctly. But every once in a while, Apple comes out with a new resolution timing thing. And you're like, oh, it just broke all of our rooms. We got to go update our EDID tables with something brand new.
I just envision this like crack squad of people like, look at this, Red. They're never going to see this one coming. We're going to put the thing out, and they're just going to screw them over so bad, and like just this.
Hey, we're going to
tank of
1080
people
at 61 hertz.
Exactly.
Just
For what reason?
60.1. So for those of you who have not solved this problem, there's two solutions for it. One, you can
Stop
go
plugging your stuff in.
to
That's
Jamie's
the
point,
answer.
Ban Apple. This one.
That is the wrong
No,
answer, and you hear that from a lot of
stop
people.
it.
That gets lumped under the all
Stop
apples
it.
and all Macs are stupid, and that is an
That's
admission.
not
Just
correct.
say you're not as good at your job as you think you are if you say stuff like that, because it's not your call what the professor, student, graduate
Exactly.
student, whatever is going to bring into the room. Now,
Support
to
it.
Jamie's point about managed computers, this is where it gets sticky. You may
Yes.
not have the admin rights necessary to restart the appropriate process. If you don't, or if you do have the rights, it's the core, what's it called, Jamie? Core audio something process. You'll see it under there.
Yeah.
You kill the process. It restarts automatically because it has to be running, reestablishes all audio connections. Most importantly, it
re-grabs
breaks
it.
all existing audio connections, reestablishes the handshake, fixes it in about 8 seconds. Now, if you don't have the rights to do that, with a lot of managed machines don't, because computer admins hate the fact that people can do things like adjust your volume, start a program, insert a USB drive, use your
Why would you
computer
ever
in
need
any
to do
way,
that
shape,
with a
or form.
computer?
Extend your display.
Why would you want to do that?
That's all
Change your
fancy
resolution.
stuff.
That's a
just go buy
security
an iPad.
protocol.
So at that point, the solution is make sure the computer is still plugged in to the wire that Mark hates. And he's not wrong on this, and I'm starting to kind of move that direction. But leave it plugged in so it's there and restart the computer, after which the handshake will be established and everything will work. So there you go. Solve the
Dinosaurs will die. I promise. We'll get there.
I find most of the problem is when it's a managed machine. I mean, I'm
part of
an
it.
all-time Mac user, and I'm like, it is not just an Apple thing.
No, it's not.
No,
I lump this in just BYOD at large and managing
Yes,
this thing. And the
it's-
best way to get rid of it is to stop having a spigot to plug their stuff into. I know it seems radical. But
We have issues with now with USB-C and everything else. We have issues with 3 and 4-year-old Dell and HP laptops, and it's BYOD. It happens. You just kind of roll with it and figure it out. But it's just what I like when I started. I'm like, it's so dumb. Well, Apple sucks, and it's Mac's problem or it's Dell's problem because
Yeah.
it's like hold
digital
on,
problem.
It's a digital problem.
Yeah. Have you heard people blame this on HDCP? Like they're just
That's what they always jump
focused
to.
on,
Yeah.
oh, it's got to be HDCP problem.
We got to get some kind of thing and put it in here and break this HDCP. So
All right, from China. Amazon has one.
Hey,
for
Fury
look.
right here. Watch this.
Exactly. That's what everybody's.
I gotta
"I'm just gonna go and
admit,
do this.
I do use that excuse sometimes. Like, you know what? Sometimes the lawyers get involved and it's copyright protection and it's just something we're going to have to work through
But your
just so I can
system
get
should
out of the
support
room.
That, but you use NDI, so I guess you're absolved
No,
of that.
mine runs
because-
just fine.
Let's not talk about this. We're not
It's just
fine. Yeah.
It's just fine.
Okay.
Totally
so
legit.
anyway, moving on. We got that one.
Just
All right, so
fine.
yes,
Manage
common
your
issue comes up.
EDIDs or don't plug your stuff in.
Yeah, and to clarify, when Mark says wireless, he does not mean buy another
Nope.
box.
No, not
that
another
you
mystery
plug the
black box.
spigot
You plug
into,
no,
that you then
no.
use that connection. That is the
No,
wrong.
we're
That is
gonna-
not what we mean by
We're
wireless.
going to go to the cloud and connect there off of another thing that's already available in your room.
It's called
I just
Zoom.
live stream it all through YouTube. Like,
Are we going to
Do
talk
that,
about
that's
this once a quarter or
Mm-hmm.
once it?
Once a show, if I can get there. I mean, that's the goal.
I feel like we bring this up at least once a year.
I'm hoping, like I said, once a show, Justin. Or maybe twice. Let's see what else is in store today. Next topic. Let's go.
3 times
Okay.
a day. All right. Let's see. Do you guys want to talk about we got a Dante controller story. We have the input for pre-construction phase of new higher ed building, which is always a fun one.
ooh,
That,
I
I don't
wanna
have
hit
enough
both.
time to. We don't have enough
I
time.
wanna hit
No,
both of
no
these.
way. Yeah.
Feel like
Well, but
talking
then we
about
also
that
have the
right
one
now.
about Teams rooms front
Oh,
row display.
let's get.
I
Let's
don't
get
want
that.
to talk about that at
Let's
all.
actually get that one out of the way really quick.
Damn it.
Because we can get in and out of that one really fast.
All right. So this one
Why
comes
do you
from
even bring that
LinkedIn.
up? You know, Mark just loves team stuff.
Hey.
So this comes from LinkedIn, and the
I just
post
got-
it's a commentary, from a sales side on Microsoft Teams Rooms supports this what do you call it, a mode called Front Row, where it maps out the participants, the chat, the shared files, and it has a very kind of specific layout that is built to show kind of all the different things happening in a Teams room environment. And Teams front row requires a wider aspect ratio display to be fully functional. That's the wrong term, but to get all the bells and whistles, you need that.
You got to see all the pixels.
Your Teams room compute needs to sense that to give you that option.
Yes.
Correct.
There's secret there.
And people aren't buying the big displays to do front row. And so Microsoft is kind of saying, like, why aren't people doing front row in Teams rooms?
Because it's effing stupid.
Now, those of us who've been talking about the joy of ultra-wide 21 by 9, the new, Jesus of resolutions or aspect ratio, will be big advocates for this. But I'll turn to the rest of the panel. Why aren't people buying 21 by 9 displays to do Microsoft Teams room front row?
Because they don't need it.
Because they can't get it up to the second floor of their building.
Nope. It's just they don't need it. Quite simply. They just don't need it.
I have yet to find a reason to get one. And if you're having a Teams rooms, for me personally, when I sit in these things and I see the front row experience, nothing about it wows me enough to go out and custom make it.
Yeah, because you don't experience it typically in your Teams setting, and then you go to your rooms, like, why? It's not really all that desirable. And so and people who have Teams rooms maybe think they already have it, and then they just change their layout, and they're like, is that it? I guess that's it, even though it's not. You won't see it unless you have that ultra-wide resolution, and the actual Teams room senses it there, then it unlocks it in your layout. But most people it's not all that nifty or neat. It doesn't really provide any additional utility to the environment. To be honest, and there's a whole lot more options in traditional aspects.
I'll push back just a hair on what Mark said. Is that if you have it everywhere, I guess it could be neat and cool, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze on that.
No.
You're not gaining anything. It's just, that's cool, whatever, and then you move on. It's like,
yeah, we haven't had, even for those who...
It's not functional, Mark. It's a little cool.
People who even do have it, I mean, I've yet to see a person come out of a meeting like, oh my word, we just did this whole thing and it blew my mind. It was the most transformational experience ever. You've never heard it, right? And so, and trust me, I go out of my way to try to do a lot of weird team stuff here, and that's never one of the desires. Like, we really need this front row thing to work in this Teams room. And so
this week's HR meeting was great. Yeah. You should see it.
So do you think that article is going to put Jupiter out of business?
No. So Justin, to your point,
there's a time and a place for all of it, but it's not a mass quantity thing, and that's what the article was. It's like,
I mean, it's neat, not needed.
Come on.
That's all it comes down to.
For projection displays, you're losing resolution when you go to 21 by 9 because it's faking it. For custom, LED wall displays that have true pixel per pixel resolution, Justin, to your point, it's a cost thing and a physical installation thing, because to get those in a room is a pain in the butt. Just
the right size.
Friend of the show, BC Hatchett. Well, hold on. Friend of the show, BC Hatchett, was telling us about this a couple weeks ago. They had to, and I shit you not on this, they had to lower the elevator to the floor below, have the elevator mechanic open the door,
fit it in there, and then
to get
shift it back
in
up.
the elevator shaft, ride it up the top of the elevator to the floor is going to, and then sneak it out of the shaft into the hallway to get it to physically fit into the space it was going into.
Do you think that they turned it on before they did all that to make sure it worked?
I would hope so. I hope they fully commissioned that thing before they were just like,
wow.
Now, what happens if it dies and they got a lemon in 6 weeks? You're like, oh my God, F me, right?
So I'll just say for that install, kudos to the team at Vanderbilt for figuring that logistics method out. But even to your point, even once they're successful with that, are they ever going to do that again? No.
See, I think if we wanted to see more of this stuff, the ultra wide or even just other freaky weird aspects, Teams room would unlock that capability and force it in a traditional environment so people could see it. The fact that you can't even experience it without this is the problem. Like, people don't know.
And to be fair,
right?
Zoom and Zoom Rooms does the same thing. They have like feature locked things behind licenses.
And so if you want to do it, like, do it and make it look extra terrible and be like, to make this look better, please use an actual aspect correct display, and then people would see it. Like, I don't know. It's just that which side you're going to roll on. Like, are you take the leap of faith or go? Yeah.
AV 101 planning here. It's my rule that if you go with anything larger than an 86-inch display and it's not direct view LED modular, and it's on the second floor, you better do some research.
Sure. You build your buildings around them.
No. Nope.
Just scaff there with a display on top.
That 110-inch LG I just put in is structural. So
That consultant building that's getting built right now, I'm pretty sure they're loading in 98-inch displays.
We have some AV equipment that is structural here, Chris. I'm not going to tell you where, but there may and or may not be a rack holding up a floor somewhere on this campus.
Remember that rack we put up on the wall and then it fell off the next day? In that it was in one of the cultural centers. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah. Mark's like, no, I don't know anything about this.
We didn't put it up. Somebody else put it up.
Okay, correct. Yeah, the GC put the rack on the wall, and we went in the next morning. It was on the floor.
Yes.
It's like, well,
I'm like, Mark's like, no, I don't know anything about that.
No.
Nope.
All right, moving on. Next one. Get through.
All right. Next story. Do we want to talk about construction or talk about Dante controller?
I think we should say the pre-construction one we should bring up in a upcoming show for you.
We need a long. This is a tease. If we want to tease this topic, maybe throw it out there. Go ahead.
So we'll tease the topic. Good point, Jamie. I like it. We're going to tease the topic of the process of getting input in an early stage of a construction. Pre-construction, the architect is asking the local IT team for input. And some of the suggestions that people give them is step 1, call an integrator, wrong. Step 2, call a consultant, also wrong. So we can talk about how to get, you're doing a new building in 3 years. How do you get what you need into that building early on?
Yeah, until we'll talk
because it doesn't always happen, and we've all experienced
even if
that.
you do call an integrator or call an consultant, how can you drive that conversation? But I think that's a longer form. Yeah, that too.
That's an awesome
call and insult them.
You need to
call your local consultant and have them call the consultant.
In that process.
This is a good topic. I'll share some boilerplate documentation that you should probably have writing parallel to your Division 27 that actually addresses some of this stuff when you are brought in and at what part of the phase you're needed to provide input. And I think giving you a boilerplate path is really important, and getting that into your capital projects hands is
What's
even
Division
more important.
27, Mark?
All right, part of the show.
Yeah, we don't have time today. But anyway, tease that one next time.
We're only up to Division 4. We're working. We haven't gotten that. Working on 5 right now.
Yeah.
All right. So last story then. Dante controller in hardware with API supports. This is kind of a product announcement, but an interesting one. This is right up Jamie's alley with these weird widget boxes and what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
And this comes from Eamon Drew, who was formerly at I forgot the name of the company. Bird Dog. Thank you. And he started Turtle AV, and they announced a whole suite of like the bright greenish, bluish boxes. Chazzy AV.
Teal.
I think is their,
the word is teal.
It is teal.
Puce.
Turtle AV.
And so they have a new Dante controller that has a Dante controller hardware box, but it has an API that you can address, which is kind of an interesting play from a small company.
When you get there and need it, you'll know you're ready for it, because there's a certain point in time you'll have enough Dante routes. You're like, I wish I could just manually route this with third party.
Well, I think of it as on the flip side. I'm like, at this point, every single person on your team has to have Dante controller loaded onto their laptop, which could or could not become an administrative or management issue. And presets, how do you handle with some of these? This runs Dante controller and turns it into a web app. So now you have a web app writing on your network that you can now have an API to make the switches and the subscriptions and whatever. And I think that's cool. But also now I can use my Apple. I can use my iPad, I can use my Surface, I can use my ARM device and make a route without opening up a custom version of Dante controller. Now, I know Dante's helped themselves a little bit here by making more of a Chrome extension than a actual independent software, but I find that to be very unique and useful. I also sent them an email and said, hey, by the way, can you make this a master clock for a entire domain? And they go, that's an interesting idea. Let us look into it. So I think this box has, outside of Turtle's company's product, I think it has some unique applications for folks like us who have larger deployments and don't want to mess with individual instances of software.
No, I think it's
You know what,
important.
Jamie?
Or don't have rights to use it on the computer that they're using right now.
Yes.
Exactly. They're still trying to get the work for the HDCP. God damn it! I can't take this.
Don't my resolution set right.
Yeah.
I wonder how secure that box is. Maybe I can just put it right on the edge of all my customers out there, and then just be able to log in.
Then you can log in really and deal with it, or have a processor drive presets.
Well, this is why it's a very interesting doodad. Now it's not. It's not.
Oh, this is a doodad. This is like a different level. This is like above widget. This is even above a tchotchke even.
Does this thing have?
Bigger than a tchotchke, but it's not quite a so a doodad.
How many network ports does it have?
I think it has 2.
2 nicks, Justin.
I was gonna say.
One for management, one for Dante.
So it's interesting, and look, you
I just put all the Dante on the management.
the guy that's behind it.
Flatten it out.
Yeah.
Some people have opinions about Bird Dog, but that company, they did some unique things.
They were disruptive. They were very disruptive.
I was gonna say they're very disruptive, very aggressive on pricing, very aggressive on feature sets. Some things didn't ship, and I think they had some business challenges and whatnot. But all in all, I would welcome multiple companies doing that than other ones just sitting there and playing it safe for years.
Yeah. Take a gamble. Make this stuff work better for us. And it looks like they might be on the right path. It'll be interesting to see once it's really in people's hands.
Get that application layer. Just wedge it into a box. I like it.
But it's an interesting play, Mark. I mean, that's basically what they did is they extracted an application, moved it down to like layer 3, and you're just like, that's a weird play, but I can see why you're doing it now.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we need. We need that level of control. So, what is that? That's a
alrighty. Well,
okay.
We will defer the conversation on construction process to a bigger discussion at a later date here. So write in if you want to be a part of that or you have some thoughts on that. So otherwise, I think we've about done it here. Oh, Teddy Murphy. That's the show, Justin. So
wow.
Teddy Murphy's writing in. He says, "What is this?" Justin, translate this for us.
Yeah. What's that? What is that? How do you read that in
Kentucky would consider it a Dumaflocky.
Flocky?
Dumaflocky?
That's Eastern Kentucky shit.
Oh.
That's
my bad.
Says the man of Western
That's
Kentucky.
Mountain Dew country.
Gee.
I mean, though
I didn't realize we had this different
Eastern
nuance. Yeah.
Western Kentucky, which is really the start of the Central Kentucky West.
Oh man!
You have to draw me a map one day, Justin. I'd like to. I mean, or carve it out on that piece of wood you have behind you. Let us know where all this breaks down.
Justin, if only you had some sort of map right behind you showing you the state of Kentucky.
We're okay. So,
Yes.
Geography lesson to close out the show today.
Okay. Yeah, you're about there. Yep.
And he's like here.
Where's Paducah?
That's over out west. Yeah.
So he's in the Appalachia.
Wait, do I have Kentucky's backwards?
No.
Oh, all right. Let's close this set out before Justin.
We're there, and it's
fine here. Yeah, it's just.
I bet Teddy.
Well, for those
I bet Teddy knows where he is on a map.
Yeah.
Oops. So. It's Friday.
Justin, why do you have a map of Georgia up there sideways?
This is Indiana right here.
I thought that was just a lower piece of Louisiana hanging out there, flipped over.
This is kind of Indiana-ish, and like Illinois.
I'm over there.
That's a part of
I'm
the
over
board.
there.
Yeah.
Jamie's outside the window. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back next week with a full show and all sorts of more nonsense and more geography lessons from Justin.
All right. Check us out on the web. Find us out there. We're out there.
Yep. Follow us on what you're using right now, AVSuperFriends.com, to find all the rest of the stuff on there, and there's tons of stuff to listen to. So give all that a listen. We'll wait. See ya.
See ya.
We did it. A short show just for the first Friday of the month, usually. Follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter to join us next time. And you'll find the full slate of recorded podcasts and everything else we do at our website, avsuperfriends.com.